Alright, let's talk about trains. No, I'm not talking about the band. I'm talking about
Trains! Two of the greatest train videos we've ever offered! And now through this special TV offer, you get
one.
videos for the price of one!
Trains and films are some of my favorite things. I'm not talking about talking trains like Thomas. I actually never really liked Thomas the Tank Engine as a kid because he creeped me out. I mean, look at him. There is some evil behind those eyes. But I'm talking about actual trains as a part of movies. When I see a train in a film, I get like that one guy on TikTok, you know? I just think they're such a versatile and interesting setting for a movie, and today I'm going to explain why they work so well. Trains in film history have been an iconic staple of the industry. I mean, the first time people saw a train on film, they literally jumped out of their seats, thinking they were going to get hit by it. Ever since then, trains have been used in so many productions and in so many ways. They work so well as a setting piece, much more than any other forms of transportation. And it's because of the inherent qualities of trains that make them so successful. Trains offer filmmakers a setting that can accommodate nearly any genre and many storylines. Whether it's a romantic encounter in a cozy train compartment, a mystery unfolding aboard a luxury sleeper train, or an epic battle atop a speeding locomotive, trains can be adapted to fit a wide range of cinematic narratives. I've always loved that old cinema trope of the murder on a train, where they go through a dark tunnel and when the light comes back a character is dead, but it just goes to show that staging an entire movie on a train can and does work, and it's because of the versatility trains have on the big screen.
Son of a...
I think the biggest factor of why trains are interesting set pieces is that they are both freeing and restrictive at the same time. I know that sounds completely contradictory, but what I mean by this is that within a train you're allowed to get up, move around, and interact with the different train cars, giving it a certain level of freedom and ability to tell a story, whilst at the same time you're confined to the train's walls, forcing a border for the characters. In things like an airplane, this culture is completely different because you're expected to stay in your seats unless absolutely necessary. Rather than getting up to go to a bar cart or food cart, those services are brought to you on a long flight. As well as this, planes have the certain aspect of always worrying about staying in the air. If there are actions going on a plane, the audience is wondering about the conditions of the pilots and how this drama in the passenger section is affecting the flight. Whereas with trains, it almost serves as a sentient being that is separated from whatever is going on behind it, and not being considered as much throughout the story. The train will keep going no matter what is going on behind it, and until someone gets to the front of the train, there really isn't much thought about the ability of this train to keep going, because that's just the nature of trains. This is not to say that trains can't be derailed, as we do see that in several movies. But it's not until we see the actual front of the train that these issues arise, because that's where everything is controlled, and because of train infrastructure, it's really uncommon for a train to crash, unless it is an error that most often is not done by the well-trained conductor. That means that murders or huge battles can happen on trains, and those trains will just keep on chugging. We see this in films such as Bullet Train, which takes place entirely on a Japanese bullet train. They utilize all the different train cars with all the different characters, and although most of the cars are the same, the strong cast keeps the story interesting. This leads me to my next point about the versatility of train cars as a storytelling device. The first thing that comes to mind with this is the movie Snowpiercer, in which they are stuck in this train and move farther and farther up towards the front. Each car is completely different and displays what class of people are living in those cars. It just goes to show how, despite being restricted by the space of the train, it can still be an interesting and changing setting, where each car has its own aspects that these characters interact with. It reminds me of that one Adventure Time episode, Infinity Train, in which they get on a train that goes infinitely, and they keep going from car to car finding new loot and monsters to fight. Even though it's all restricted to this train setting, each and every cabin is so unique and interesting and keeps the story fresh, and only a train could have something of this ability. Sure, you can do something of this sort with a dungeon or a facility. However, this goes back to my point of being restricted but also freeing. With those types of things, audiences almost expect more to these settings rather than just linear paths from one stage to another. But with trains, that is the whole nature of their being, and that is the beauty of their structure. It reminds me of this one scene within Modern Family where they're on a passenger train. Phil meets an author who he idolizes and helps with his new mystery story. After first stumping him and making him realize his story doesn't work, they come up with the story that the conductor commits the murder from the front of the train without even leaving, all because the train hits a horseshoe bend in which the front of the train can see all the way to the back. Despite being a comedy, I thought that this was actually such a cool way to solve his train problem, and just showed how interesting stories on trains can be, all whilst being set on a train. But in short, trains are such a versatile setting and give the ability to tell stories in all genres, whether that be romance, comedy, action, mystery, or adventure. Trains can work for everything. They are powerful sources of symbolism for characters, and I know I've said this a lot in this video, but Because of the nature of trains, they always bring together people from very different walks of life, and can garner stories just because of their functions and abilities. Whilst being trapped on this means of transport and yet free to roam, anything can happen, and anything does happen. So yeah, trains are cool, and that's basically all I'm getting at with this video. So I'll end it with this.
1. Why was the Herbal Railway a big success? All the trains ran on time.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
If you guys enjoyed this video, I encourage you to leave a like and comment and subscribe to the channel. Any support is appreciated and helps me to be able to keep making videos like this in the future. I also just made a Patreon, so if you would like to support me further, you can join me on there and get exclusive content, interact with me, and even suggest what videos you want to see in the future. But if that's not your thing, then just interaction with the video is all the support I need. Also, feel free to follow me on Instagram at ConsFilmStuff, where I post film pictures I've taken, music, and movies I've enjoyed recently. And yeah, have a good one.